So, a very good morning to all of you. I hope everybody can see and hear me clearly. Things are all fine, I hope. So, we meet again for another session, and I hope all of you know that in the last 15-20 days, we have started giving a lot of emphasis. We have started focusing a little bit more on the ability to interpret and answer questions. And something which I keep on telling you right at the beginning of every class is what I will tell you today also. That is, when it comes to answering questions, when it comes to success in MBA entrance exams, especially CAT, right? 90% of that in the VARC section, I mean the VARC section, 90% of the success will depend on your ability to interpret whatever you have read. Right, so that is what we try to practice here every day. So today also we will continue with the same. We will practice the skill of interpreting and understanding and answering questions based on what we read. Right. So very good morning to all of you. I hope everybody can see and hear me clearly. And before we begin with the proceedings of the day, let me quickly tell you this is the YouTube schedule of the entire week. You can take a look at it. These are all sessions which are designed keeping in mind your requirements and definitely should be a lot of help in your preparations, right? So very good morning to all of you. I hope everybody can see and hear me clearly, right? Today we will do not one big passage, but we will do three, four, two or three passages, short ones, but with questions, right? And the focus, as you will see in the first slide when we move to it, the focus will be on how do you understand, how do you interpret, right? The first two questions would be critical reasoning, but then in critical reasoning, I'm not going to ask you anything, like rocket science. I'm simply going to require you to answer the questions after having understood the passage. For example, this is the first thing. Read very carefully. The question is also given there, right? And you have to read the conversation, and the question can be understood, can be answered only when you understand what is the conversation about, right? So conversation किस बारे में है, that is the only thing which you require to answer the question. Let's see. So which of the following words or phrases has been misinterpreted in the conversation? उसके लिए सबसे पहले try to find out where does the misinterpretation happen, right? So there are, in fact, this is like an exchange of words between two people, and there are three steps. West says something, Smith replies, and West replies further to Smith's reply. So find out at which level, at which step has the misinterpretation happened. Then you can find out what exactly are the words which have been misinterpreted. Right, everybody is able to read it, I hope. Let's see. Right. So Aditya is saying the answer is C, worthwhile. Has what has been, so first of all, where has the misinterpretation happened? Okay, Mr. West is asking for something, is asking for by how much do you plan to increase your donation. मतलब वेस्ट ये मान के चल रहा है कि डोनेशन तो मिस्टर स्मिथ मिस स्मिथ करेगी ही, राइट? लास्ट ईयर भी शी आल्सो डोनेटेड. हाउ मच इज शी गोइंग टू इंक्रीज द डोनेशन, राइट? मिस स्मिथ रिप्लाइज, आई एम नॉट सो श्योर ऑफ दैट. Now, this line can have two meanings. I am not so sure of that. मैं increase करूँ या ना करूँ ये भी हो सकता है, right? But does she mean that? No, I was very upset about the statue. I think I will give no more money to your cause. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? No more money to your cause. Does it mean that she is not going to increase or she will stop giving money? What she means here is she will stop giving money, right? Now, what is the reply? Mr. West says, that's all right. We will just put you down for the same amount that you gave last year. Now, ये misinterpretation यहाँ already हो चुका है 3 में, ठीक है? और misinterpret क्या हो रहा है? The words no more money, right? So, Smith is saying, I will give you no more money. West replies, don't worry, okay, it's fine, I will put you down for the same amount, I'm expecting the same amount. But Smith never said that she is going to give money. She is saying, I will give no more money, matlab stop kar degi. So what has been misinterpreted is this, these lines, no more money. So the best answer is this. ठीक है. So I think Prasanna, VM and Pinky got the answer correct. Very few people answered. I think everybody understood. So what is happening here is very simple. It's a dialogue, right? And you can understand, you can answer this question only when you understand the gist of the dialogue, right? Dialogue का जो gist है वो समझोगे तभी you will be able to proceed, right? So that is the skill that we require in RC also. यही तो skill है, right? So that is the skill which we are trying to develop. Everybody got the point, I hope, right? So it makes a lot of sense if you prepare small passages and you know उस इस ऐसे small passages के हिसाब से if you prepare, it will definitely help you in the longer versions. By the way, CAT में the passages are not very long, right? कितना होगा 400, 500, 600 words and around 5 questions. Everybody got the point, I hope. Yes. Shall we look at the next question? Let's see. Next question is this. Right. Again, a dialogue. Right. Why am I giving a lot of focus to dialogue? Because it will require you to understand. ठीक है. Right. देखो मोहंती उसको आई कैन नॉट गो बैक टू इट, आई समराइज इट फॉर यू. देखो एक आदमी ने कहा कि इस बार आप डोनेशन कितना इंक्रीज करोगे. द पर्सन रिप्लाइज, मैं अब पैसे और देना नहीं चाहती, राइट, आई वांट टू स्टॉप, राइट. द पर्सन रिप्लाइज दैट्स फाइन. तो इन दैट केस लास्ट ईयर का अमाउंट ही मैं एक्सपेक्ट करूंगा. तो एक्सपेक्टेशन ही गलत है ना. उसने ये कहा कि अब मैं और पैसे नहीं देने वाले, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू कंटिन्यू. द पर्सन मिसइंटरप्रेटेड नो मोर. सो दैट इज बेसिकली व्हाट इज द केस. ठीक है. लेट्स लुक एट दिस. So, what does the question require you? Of the following, the strongest criticism of the emperor's decision to invade would be that it. So, you are going to find out what is wrong with the emperor's decision to invade. Now, try to find out emperor का decision जो है वो क्यों है? Why is he deciding to, invade? Once you find that answer भी मिल जाएगा, right? So because the answer will be related to this question only. Let's see. So the context is what is very important here. I hope everybody understands this. So the context is very important. Right. So Prasanna and Aditya given their answers. What about the others? Himanshu, Pinky also thinks the answer is D. Right. I hope everybody else is attempting. Right. So what is the emperor's decision? The emperor's decision, first of all, is that we are, prepare the troops, we set sail tonight. So he is going to invade. Right. Now, whom does the emperor ask for some advice? The emperor asks the admiral. Right. The emperor says, I want to conquer. Okay, I want to conquer the, there is an empire, there is a kingdom across the sea, right? And why I want to conquer it. What advice can you give? The advice is if you cross the sea, a mighty empire will fall. Tell me, does he say which empire? A mighty empire कौन है? कौन सा empire है? Does he mention that it is going to be the opponent? No, right? So if you say, emperor says the mighty empire across the sea has harassed us for centuries, right? So he's speaking about one particular. But admiral says if you cross the sea, a mighty empire will fall. A mighty empire कौन सा? Clear नहीं है. But emperor तो ये मान के चल रहा है कि this mighty empire and what he means are the same. So the answer is D. Right. It fails to consider fully the possible meanings of the admiral's advice. So एडमिरल ने माइटी एम्पायर का मतलब क्या है वो क्लैरिफाई नहीं किया. एम्परर ने उसका फुल इम्प्लीकेशन को नहीं समझ पाएगा. सो दैट इज बेसिकली व्हाट इज द केस. एवरीबॉडी अंडरस्टूड दिस आई होप. राइट. सो एडमिरल कहता है अगर क्रॉस करोगे तो एक एम्पायर जरूर कॉन्कर हो जाएगा. कौन सी एम्पायर? ही डज नॉट मेक इट क्लियर. राइट. सो the empress has has did not look at the full implications of this sentence. ठीक है. राइट. नाउ एनीथिंग एल्स? अच्छा, इज सर्टेन टू लीड टू द एम्परर्स डिफीट. ये हमें पक्का पता नहीं, बिकॉज फॉल कौन होने वाला है क्लियर नहीं है. लुक एट बी. इज बेस्ड ऑन ओपिनियन रादर एन ऑब्जेक्टिव फैक्ट्स अबाउट ट्रूथ स्ट्रेंथ. देखो, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल एम्परर ने एडवाइस पूछा था, एडमिरल ने दिया था. राइट. अब ओपिनियन ही तो चाहिए था उसको. राइट. सो दिस इज इरेलेवेंट बिकॉज द एम्परर वांटेड एन ओपिनियन. Right. So that is what is the case. Does it, okay, C, contradicts the admiral's statement? No, it does not contradict. Contradict तो तभी करेंगे जब पता चले वो कहना क्या चाह रहा है. What is he trying to say? We do not know. So we do not know whether it contradicts the statement or not. So A might be ambiguity, as Prasanna is saying, there's an ambiguity. ठीक है. Everybody got the point, I hope. Right. And E can also be eliminated because स्ट्रैटेजी जो है वो तो एम्परर ने अभी डिसाइड किया ही नहीं. स्ट्रैटेजी से एम्परर ने सिंपली ये कहा है कि टुनाइट, राइट, वी विल स्टार्ट सेलिंग एंड वी विल लॉन्च अ कैंपेन टुनाइट. ठीक है. एवरीबॉडी गॉट द पॉइंट. एवरीबॉडी अंडरस्टूड आई होप. यस. राइट. नाउ लेट्स डू वन थिंग. वी विल take up a passage. This passage which you are reading now is from ZAT. Right. So far, if you notice, in the last 10 days, we have done a lot of questions taken from ZAT, a lot of questions taken from actual CAT also. It will definitely benefit because यही टाइप के क्वेश्चन जो है यही तो है जो दैट्स व्हाट्स गोइंग टू कम इन द एग्जाम. सो इफ यू आर गुड इन दिस, यू विल नेचुरली बी गुड इन द एक्चुअल एग्जाम आल्सो. राइट. नाउ दिस पैसेज आई हैव चोजन स्पेशली बिकॉज the concept, the topic of this passage is a little bit esoteric. It's a little bit difficult to understand. I hope everybody is reading it. Right. So first line is almost like a quotation. Whatever actions are done by an individual in different embodiments. What do we mean by embodiments? Embodiments basically nothing else but the bodily form of something. So an individual in different embodiments, मतलब individual in his different bodily forms. ठीक है. He reaps the fruit of those actions in those very bodies or embodiments in future existences. So ये थोड़ा पुनर्जन्म टाइप की बात हो रहा है. So it's like multiple lives वाला theory वाला concept है. ठीक है. I hope everybody understood this first slide. Right. Next. Right. And what do we mean by entails? Entail में ऐसे सोच के देखो, the word tail is tail, पूछ, right? So a belief in karma entails among other things. मतलब if you have a belief in karma, it would be followed necessarily by, among other things, what? A focus on long run consequences, right? That is a long term orientation. Orientation here is nothing else but the person's way of looking at things or a person's way of thinking. Right. So, right. So, what is the person doing here? He is telling us, right, that if a person believes in karma, right, you will of course believe in long run consequences. So, if a person has such a mindset, they are likely to be more honest with themselves and in setting expectations in particular. So, they are likely to be more honest to themselves in general, right, and they are likely to be honest in setting expectations, right. Setting expectations basically means what to expect from a situation, right. So the person is going to examine this hypothesis, right. This research is based on three simple premises. So He is going to examine a theory. What is the theory? The theory is that if you believe in karma, you are more honest to yourself generally, and you are more honest in setting expectations. मतलब unnecessary चीजें expect नहीं करेंगे, अपने आप को ज़्यादा honest करेंगे. Does he agree with this theory? Not necessarily. He is saying we will examine this theory using a hypothesis. Hypothesis is like a theory, right? It's like, you know, a theory which is more or less certain, but not 100% fixed also, right? So this research is based on three simple premises. So he is going to use three premises to examine this theory, this ideology. Everybody has read it, I hope. All clear? Should I change the slide? Okay, changing the slide. This is the next, right? So समझ के चलो कि इसमें what can you expect? You can expect three premises. Three premises will be used to examine the theory. Which theory? The theory that if you have belief in karma, you are likely to be more honest to yourself. Generally, you are likely to be more honest in expectations. Okay, so we're going to examine the theory using three premises. Right, everybody is reading it, I hope. What is the first premise? The first premise, if you notice, lower expectations often lead to greater satisfaction. I mean, if you have low expectations, you will be satisfied because whatever you get, right, is likely to be higher than what you expected, right? So that is why lower expectations often lead to greater satisfaction. So people, right, who are sensitive to the gap between performance and expectations have the incentive to and actually lower their expectations. Why? देखो, those who want, you know, those who want more expectations, from those who expect more from their performance, right, they strategically lower the expectations. Why? Because they want to be satisfied. Agar expectation high rakhoge, to likely chances are you become disappointed. So that is why first premise is this. What is the second premise? Second, individuals with a long term orientation are likely to be less inclined to lower expectations in the hope of temporarily getting better. Right, temporarily feeling better इनको नहीं चाहिए, so they will not lower their expectations. Why will they not have temporarily? Why will they not, you know, have the hope of temporarily feeling better? Because simply put, they do not believe in the short term. They believe in the long run. Karma is all about different lives, many births. So they will not be satisfied with short term things. So they will not lower their expectations just for the sake of अभी थोड़े देर में satisfaction मिलने के लिए. Second point, this is third. Long term orientation and the tendency to lower expectations are at least partially driven by cultural factors, right? So long term orientation and the tendency to lower expectations are partially driven by culture. In India, belief in karma, right, will therefore to some extent counteract the tendency to lower expectations. So what is he saying? Because of karma, the tendency to lower, you know, expectations will be negated or will be reduced. So, in short, he was examining the theory. The theory proves to be correct. So, the empirical result supports our logic. Those who believe strongly in karma are less influenced by disconfirmation sensitivity and therefore have higher expectations. Disconfirmation sensitivity is when what you expect and what comes out, if they are not conforming, if they are not the same, you become unhappy. So if you believe in karma, you will look at the longer version, so you are likely to have higher expectations. This is what is the conclusion of the author. Everybody got the point, I hope. All understood, I think. All clear, I hope. Chalo, let's look at the last slide. Then we will look at the questions. Now, understand, abhi tak he was talking about philosophy. He was talking about spirituality. Now he is speaking about, marketing. Let's see. Consumers make choices based on expectations of how also. अभी तक क्या था? The author has proved that India जैसे country में, since people believe in karma, right? People will have higher expectations. People are not satisfied with the short term because karma theory tells you that अभी जो करोगे कभी ना कभी तो उसका result मिलेगा ही, right? So people believe in getting the results even after lives, even in the afterlives also. So that means people are likely to be having higher expectations, right? Let's see. So this is a very interesting passage, if you notice, right? I did not highlight the words because more than the words, what is important is the interesting, comparison. I mean, spirituality से शुरू करता है, then he moves on to the concept of marketing or consumer analysis rather. Now, this confirmation sensitivity क्या होता है? It is explained here. If you read it, right? So he is trying to apply the whole concept here. Consumers make choices based on expectations, right, of how other options will perform. Expected utility. In short, if I buy detergent, my expectation will be how will this detergent compare to, let's say, if I'm buying surf, I will say अच्छा Henko से कितना अच्छा होगा compared to Ala, how will it be? So that is basically what is telling you here. ठीक है. Expectations about the quality of a product will also play a central role in subsequent satisfaction. ये तो है ही, right? If you expect, right, what you expect will also have a role in the eventual satisfaction, right? So these expectations will be based on a number of factors, including quality of a typical brand, advertised quality, and this confirmation sensitivity. What is this confirmation sensitivity? This confirmation sensitivity, right? What is it? When you are more satisfied when when products perform better than expected, or dissatisfied when, meaning you are sensitive to confirmation, in the sense that if I expect something and if I get something else, I will be affected. I will either become happy or sad. That is this confirmation sensitivity, right? So consumers who are more this confirmation sensitive, right, have lower expectations. However, there is little research concerning the role of culture specific variables in expectation formation, particularly how they relate to the impact of this confirmation sensitivity on consumer expectations. It ends on a caveat. What is the caveat? That culture specific variables जो है, right, how does it affect expectation formation and how do they relate to the impact of this confirmation sensitivity? इसका it is not perfectly explained. ठीक है? Everybody's read the passage, I hope. Now let's do one thing. Let's try to answer questions. Future existences in the first paragraph can refer to. Future existence क्या है? I'll just show it to you, right? In fact, it can be answered very easily. I mean, future expectations क्या है? Future existences, sorry. Future existences यहाँ है. Right, you will find it here. ठीक है? विक्रम, the topic that you are, I mean, ये जो psychology about purchase and expectation वो बाद में आया है. उससे पहले he was talking about the role of karma, right? If you believe in karma, you will have higher expectations. Just a minute, guys. Right. So future existences का meaning ये रहा. Let's try to answer the question. What do you mean by future existences? There are three statements, right? And what can it mean? Everybody? Okay. Siddharth is saying three. Three as in one and three. There are options A, B, C, D के हिसाब से बताओ answer. Otherwise will be difficult. Right. Best answer क्या है? Best answer, if you look at it, देखो future existences meaning future lives, right? So you will find it. He tells you very clearly future existences का मतलब कहाँ है? You will find it here. He makes it very clear in those very bodies or embodiments. In so embodiments future existences मतलब future lives. ठीक है? So is he speaking about 5 years afterwards? No, 5 years afterwards nahi, probably next life. So next birth in any in human form or in any embodiment. So the best answer is 2 and 3. Right. Next birth in any form. So that is what is the answer. Everybody got it, I hope. Yes. ठीक है. Next question. Which of the following, if true, would contradict the first of the three premises mentioned in the first in the passage? What is the first premise? Well, what is the first premise? It would contradict the first premise. For this, I will show you the first premise again. If you remember, well and good. Right. If you do not, I will tell you. What is it? What is the first premise? The first premise is this. What does it say? If you have read it, you will notice it tells you that people generally lower their expectations, right? Because they know that if you set high expectations, you are likely to be dissatisfied, right? So low expectation leads to high satisfaction. Therefore, people strategically lower their own expectations, right? So what would be the answer? Which of the following would contradict? You are looking at something which would contradict. Prasanna, what you're looking at A contradict कर रहा है. Best answer is C. Satisfaction depends on achievement and not on expectations. The best answer is C, right? If you look at it, देखो, what was the first passage? The first principle. The first principle was nothing else. The first principle was nothing else but how सेटिस्फैक्शन देखो एक्सपेक्टेशन कम हो तो सेटिस्फैक्शन ज्यादा होता है दैट मीन्स सेटिस्फैक्शन इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन योर एक्सपेक्टेशन एंड सी टेल्स यू दैट satisfaction depends not on expectation but on achievement. That means it is contradicting the passage. So the best answer is C. Everybody got the point, I hope. Right. Last question for the day is this. Right. Read the following statements carefully. This is the last question. Which of the following combinations of set of state? Which of the following combination of statements is consistent with the second premise? What's the second premise? First of all, let me take you to that. Then we will understand. ठीक है? Everybody understood that question. Second premise क्या है देखो? Individuals with a longer orientation are likely to be less inclined to lower expectations. मतलब, if you believe in something like karma, you are likely to be, you are likely to not lower your expectations. So if you believe in something like karma, if you have a let's say long-term orientation, you are likely to have higher expectation. Right. Second premise. Best answer to this question, quickly dekh lo, what should be the best answer? If you believe in karma, you are likely to have, you know, you are likely to be affected by temporary, you are likely to be less affected by temporary feelings, right? So what is the best answer? Best answer to this question is 1. Right? Okay, Vikram is saying D. D, 3. 3 nahi dekho. Contradictory. We do not know whether it is contradictory or not. See, he says, if you believe in the law of karma, you are likely to be less affected by temporary feelings. The key word is likely to be. So do we know that it is contradictory? Is it a clear-cut relation or is it likely? Is it a clear-cut relation or is it likely? The concept here is it is likely, not clear-cut. So that way, the best answer is A. Right? Everybody understood? Okay. So all clear, I hope. So that is the answer. Okay. With that, we come to the end of the session. And before we end, some information about what you already know. Right. The free lectures are all at one place. Right. So you can look at it now. These are some of the courses which are there. And register for this mocks. You can see the information very clearly. Right. And you know now that, the online classroom programs you can prepare for, you know, for 2022 also, right? So depending on your level. So these are the teachers. So that is the end of the class. Thank you very much. I will see you again tomorrow same time. We will discuss another passage, right? So that's it for today. Bye. Have a nice day, everybody.